What's the title of chapter 6? Who can remember?
34, is it?
34.
Yeah, the title. What's the title? Just testing you on what's the title of chapter 6.
Dhyana Yoga.
Yes,
Jnana
Jnana Yoga. What does Dhyana mean? Who remembers? What is the meaning of the Sanskrit word Dhyana? D-Y-A-N-A.
Is it knowledge or
No, that's
intellect?
Jnana. That's Jnana.
Concentration.
Jnana, knowledge. Like that was the title of chapter 4.
Dhyana means concentration.
Yeah, jhana means like, concentration or meditation.
Hmm.
Like concentration, meditation, dhyana. Meditation. So it's a meditational kind of yoga where the yogi would like sit down in a solitary place and would control their breathing, and then they would withdraw their senses from the external world, and then they would meditate on what would they meditate on? That's the next point. Okay, meditation means concentrating your mind, but what were they concentrating their mind on, these yogis?
Yogis, some of them they do on the breath, some of them they do on the
don't tell me about what they're doing in modern day society, because they're meditating on 100 million different things.
Yeah.
But what originally this like 5,000 years ago mentioned here. So what is the original object? What's the original object of meditation for the yogi?
Wasn't it the Supreme?
Yeah, and which feature? Because he has 3 different features. Remember, Brahman means the all-pervading feature, God's energy everywhere. And then there's Paramatma, the localized feature of God in the heart of every living thing. And then Bhagavan, the supreme person. Krishna's playing his flute in the spiritual world. Yeah. So which feature are they meditating on?
I think
in this yoga system.
Paramatma, is it?
Yeah, Paramatma. So they've withdrawn their senses from the external world and their mind is turned inwardly. So they're meditating on God within their heart. And he has a form. It's not just some energy in your heart.
How come you got two watches?
That's a good question.
How did you notice that?
Because I just got a new one, and I thought
you got one Australian time, one New Zealand time.
Yeah, I could do one for Australia, one for New Zealand. So, but the thing is, they're both what do you call it? They got no batteries, so it's just by movement. So
if somebody asks you the time or walk on the street, what would you say?
Very complicated. No, what it is, my old one, it's starting to not keep the time properly, so it's dropping. It's every day it loses some time. So I decided I need more accuracy, because I have to keep changing the time, because it's not.
Maybe it's the time to go to Krishna Loka.
But you don't have battery, so it still doesn't keep time.
Was it the word Inca block? Was it Inca block that the movement of the watch?
The pulse.
It's just by movement, just by the movement.
Yeah, but there's a name for it, and I thought it was
There
Inca
is a
block.
name, yeah, there is a name. I can't remember right now. It's a very old thing. It's been around for ages. So actually, most watches before the batteries and that came in, this is the way they worked, was through the movement. So, but then Johnny said, "Oh, you should still keep using the old watch for when you go on the farm, because you're going to wreck. You're going to wreck your new watch." So now I have to have one for when I have to have one for when I'm not doing outdoor work, and then I have to have one. But then if I don't wear one, it's going to stop working. So it's a bit of I'm not going to keep wearing 2 every day. Anyway. It's a bit funny, yeah. So I've just complicated my life. Now I've got 2 watches.
Ask Jayanti to wear one on your behalf, no?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good idea. Or maybe I can put one on the dog's leg or something. Maybe the dog will just keep it going. And then I could say, "Oh, can I borrow my watch back?" And,
that's funny.
We'll work out something. Anyway, that was very perceptive of Gulshan to notice that. Very perceptive. I'm impressed. Hey, but actually that's wrong. You should have been meditating on Paramatma in your heart, not looking externally. You're too external. Too much external looking.
That's a bit.
That's true.
Yeah, so they would withdraw the mind from externals and then be going more internally and focusing on God in the heart. Of course, now modern day yogis, they're meditating on everything except for the super soul. Oh, Bhakti Mala's with us.
Yeah,
Oh, great.
Bhakti,
Hey.
how are you?
Yeah, good. Sorry I'm late.
That's all right. See, this is a sign of devotional service. They're unstoppable. The devotees unstoppable. Even they bust their limbs and everything like
Can
that.
you show your leg on the camera,
What
Bhakti
happened?
Mala?
I'll tell you later, but
Yeah. So
showing
this is actually, it's mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita that devotional service is without any break. It's called avyabhichari. Avyabhichari. That is without any break or interruption. It's not interrupted, not broken by anything. So this is very nice that we can come to the stage that nothing interferes or stops our bhakti, our service to the Lord. Of course, there's always some obstacles there. Obstacles will always be there, but that we don't let that stop our service to Krishna, especially our chanting, of course, especially our chanting. Although, yeah, sometimes it's very difficult. I have to admit, actually, that during the time that we were feeding the people in Wellington, it was so full on. I've never experienced anything like it in my life. I was the only cook, and I was feeding about 2,000 plus people a day.
Wow.
And I've done big cooking before, but normally it's only once a day, like cook lunch for a huge number of people or dinner. But no, I had to cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day, day after day for 2 weeks. So I just couldn't fit in my 16 rounds. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So I just chant as many rounds as I could before I had to go to the bathroom. And then after that, I had to get straight into cooking breakfast. So, and I didn't have any other chance. And then I was so wiped out at the end of the day, I just crashed out, go to sleep. It was just so full on like that. But in one sense, I wasn't having a break in my devotional service, because actually I was doing more service than ever before. I was doing service like 19 hours a day, every day like that. So, but I just changed from one service of chanting to cooking, which is both service. But still, I'm not saying it's an excuse. So we should definitely, try not to stop our chanting. I only know one example of a disciple of Prabhupada where Prabhupada said to him, "You don't need to chant 16 rounds a day." I've only heard that with one person. And that was actually a cook. The same situation, a cook in Vrindavan, cooking for the temple in Vrindavan. He had so much service all day long, cooking for the deities and the devotees, that Prabhupada gave him the sanction that you don't need to chant 16 rounds a day. But that's the only time I've ever heard Prabhupada say that. So we should definitely try to chant our 16 rounds once we've, of course, got initiated and you've made that promise. So yeah, but that was very emergency situation. It really was an emergency. Oh my God. All these hungry people, oh my God, they were so hungry for prasadam. And they all love me now because of that sacrifice we made. So I have a lot of new friends.
Oh,
and they're asking me I've just spent every day now, I've been spending time sending out recipes because they're all asking me for recipes. What was that like gooey sweet stuff? And I had to explain that gooey sweet stuff is called halava. It's like semolina pudding. What was that ball? What was that yummy ball? I says that's called a kofta. And explain how to make it and stuff like that. So just been sending out recipes and everything like that. Yeah, it was really far out. But yeah, that's an important principle of devotional service, that it's unstoppable, it's unbreakable. In any situation, you just keep your service to Krishna. And of course, there's many challenges. But that's a sign of love. Like, for example, of course, the mother. Will the mother stop looking after the little baby? And if she's not feeling well one day, or if she has a bad day, oh, my mind is disturbed today, I'm just going to leave my baby, can do its own thing. No, I mean, it doesn't matter what they mentally, feel like, physically feel like. Even you feel disgusting, but the mother will still look after the kid because it's love. If you love someone like Krishna, if you love Krishna, you're never going to stop serving Krishna, even if you are having a bad day or whatever like that, because you love Krishna. So that's just a sign of love. Of course, we don't necessarily all love Krishna completely in the very beginning. So we might have breaks, in the beginning. We might have a break from Krishna consciousness in the beginning, but as devotional service matures, then it becomes to the point it's unbreakable. So much faith the devotee has in Krishna and so much attraction for Krishna. We can read that one of the verses which talks about that, the 14th chapter, text 26. And so it's talking about what's the result of your devotional service when it comes to the point of being unbreakable. 14th chapter, it's near the end of the 14th chapter. Text 26.
One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances at once, transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman.
Yeah, so that avyabhicharini means without fail, not broken. So it's saying here, this verse, very wonderful result when we come to that point of unbreakable devotional service, is that this is how we transcend Maya. That's how we get free from Maya. People say, well, how can we is it possible to get free from Maya? It's impossible, or how can we do it? But this is how you can do it. When you have unbreakable devotional service, then you rise above Maya, you transcend Maya. Even when you're still in the material world, if you're fully engaged in devotional service, every day you're doing devotional service as much as possible, then you're actually free from Maya. It might seem like, well, the person's still in the material world, they still have a material body, but no. Even if you're in the material world in a material body, if you're fully engaged in devotional service, you go from one service to another. Okay, you get up and what do? You chant. And then what do? You go to the arti, and then you hear the class, and then you go and cook for Krishna, or clean for Krishna, or garden for Krishna, or distribute books for Krishna, or whatever, do Krishna's accounting or whatever. And then, then you have Krishna's prasadam. And then you associate with Krishna's devotees, and then you go to Krishna's kirtan, and like that, and then you go to bed, and then you recharge your body, and then also you're dreaming about what you did during the day when you're in bed, so you're dreaming about devotional service also, and you're recharging the body.
There's
so you can
no
do more
afternoon nap?
Yeah, it depends. Yeah, if your body is tired.
If you get a 4 in the morning,
yeah,
and go 10 there, it should definitely have a 20 minutes, half an hour stretch.
Yeah, Prabhupada had a siesta after lunch. After lunch, he wouldn't have a nap every day. But total in the day, he slept for about 3.5 hours. So night was about 2 hours, and after lunch, 1.5 hours. But Prabhupada he said, I heard him say that recently, it just depends on the individual. You sleep how much you need. But as soon as you feel refreshed, you should get up. Don't lie in the bed. Don't waste time. Prabhupada said that many times, don't waste time, chant Hare Krishna. So don't just lie in the bed. It means if you wake up, means you're refreshed. So get up and start doing some service. Don't just lie around in the bed. Oh, I don't want to get out of bed. It's nice and warm in here.
Today's a rainy day.
It's a rainy day.
It is a rainy day here.
We follow the principle of singing in the rain. We're singing in the rain, right? Even when it's raining, we sing. We actually, especially for gardeners, like it rained a lot recently here, and we were singing. We were chanting, "Thank you, Krishna, for the rain," because it's been very dry.
In India does that too.
Yeah,
they're singing for the rain, the rain dance.
Rain dance.
Yeah. In India, that's when the crop comes there, and then for the rain, if the crops come so much good, they're just praying that Indra to please give us the rain.
Yeah. So, yeah, in all circumstances, if we continue our service, then you transcend the modes of material nature. And then once you transcend the Maya, then where are you? Then you're in, it's mentioned there, you're on the Brahman platform. What Brahman means spiritual, is the Sanskrit word for spiritual. So immediately you're on the spiritual platform. So you're on the spiritual platform when you die, maybe, but you can be on the spiritual platform while you're still alive in this body. As soon as you become fully Krishna conscious, then immediately you're on the spiritual platform. And then whenever you die, whenever that's going to be, whether it's due to COVID or a nuclear war, or break
or Russia and Ukraine,
break your neck or whatever like that, then you're going to go back to the spiritual world. So that's these are very important things. And but this is something that comes just after some time. If we're serious about our devotional service, gradually it comes to that point, becomes unbreakable. In the beginning, of course, like I said, we have our good days and bad days, and sometimes we do service, sometimes we don't. But as we mature, as we become mature in bhakti and devotion, then gradually come to the point of being unbreakable like that. So it's not something you can artificially make happen, but it's just something if you continue the process. And that's what it's going to talk about today in today's verse. If we go back to today's one, 635, that Arjuna's just said in 634 that I don't think I can follow this yoga system. The mind is too hard to control. It's like the wind. And then what does Krishna say? Krishna gives a solution in this verse in 6th chapter, text 35, that you got to find a suitable practice. That he first of all agrees with Arjuna. I agree, it is difficult to control the mind, but you just got to find a suitable practice and detachment. So that's his recommendation. So we can talk about that today, about what is the practice. And interesting that the word suitable is there. There's many kinds of practices, like karma yoga, jnana yoga, stanga yoga, raja yoga, bhakti yoga, so many things. But what is suitable for you and at this particular point in time? Because what might have been suitable 10,000 years ago or 100,000 years ago is not necessarily suitable now. So we have to find what's suitable now, not just what they used to do 100,000 years ago. I'm going to do that now. That's not necessarily going to be suitable. What they did 100,000 years ago in Satya Yuga is go to the forest and leave all the family behind. Well, they probably didn't even have a family. They were a celibate monk, and they left all their possessions behind, and they just did fasting, hardly ate anything, and they wore like tree bark and deerskin. Okay, so put up your hand. Does that sound suitable for you guys?
No.
No. We have trouble giving up our watches, let alone giving up all the family and the household and everything like that. So
we don't live that long. Satya Yuga people live 1,000 years. We got barely
100,000, 100,000.
Yeah, if you're lucky to live 80, in that 80 years you can do all. Not possible.
Yeah, Valmiki, who compiled the Ramayana, the pastimes of Lord Ram, he meditated. He followed this system. He meditated for 60,000 years.
Whoa.
Until he attained perfection. So, obviously we can't do that. Do we have 60,000 years to play with? We don't even probably have 60 years to play with, so it's got to be a different practice, not the same practice. So Krishna says, Prabhupada's translating here, suitable practice. You've got to find some suitable practice. And standing on your head and pressing your nose is not necessarily going to be suitable, for everyone. For a rare person like Josh or whatever, he can do that, but not necessarily for everyone. Okay, so let's read the verse together and then go get into it. Okay. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Ashamshayam Mahabaho.
Asamshayam Mahabhao.
Manodurnigraham chalam.
Manodurnigrahachalam.
Abhyasena tu kunteya.
Abhyasena tu kunteya.
Vairagyena chakriyate.
Vairagena cha grahate.
Okay. Bhaktimala, you like to read the translation, please?
Lord Sri Krishna said, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment.
I mean, this verse, I mean, it really indicates how kind the Lord is. He's really, what do you call it? Empathetic, sympathetic, empathetic. He's really, puts himself in our shoes and feels what we're going through. One time, Prabhupada said that Krishna feels the suffering of all the souls in the material world, just like as if you put a pen in your hand, the whole body feels it, isn't it? I mean, the pain is, you're just putting the pain in a tiny part of the body, just this one finger, right? But is the pain just felt by the finger? No, the pain is felt by the whole body, feels that pain. The whole being, the whole person feels the pain. So in the same way, that Krishna is the whole body and we're part of him. He is the whole and we're all parts and parcels. So this is a part and then this is a part, this is a part. So there's a pain in this part, the whole feels it. There's a pain in this part, the whole feels it. The pain in this part, the whole feels it. So Krishna feels the pain of all that what us as the parts are going through. So he's like, here he's saying, I understand your difficulty, Arjuna, in trying to control the mind. Undoubtedly, it's difficult to control the mind. But then he says, however, it is possible. You can control the mind. Don't worry. So he's like reassuring him. Yeah, yes, it is difficult to control the mind. However, it is possible if you find the suitable practice and detachment, and you practice detachment. So you got to have some suitable practice. So it means things to do. You got to do the things that are favorable to do, to help you progress spiritually, and you've got to give up or reject the things that are unfavorable to do. It means do's and don'ts. So suitable practice, that's your do's, and the detachment is your don'ts. Like for example, and if you come to the Hare Krishna movement, what are our don'ts? Like, what is the things we're detaching from?
Meat eating,
intoxication,
sex, drinking, and
Gambling.
Gambling.
So that's our detachment. That's where we're rejecting or refraining from things that are not favorable for our spiritual life, for our spiritual progress. And what are our do's? What is our suitable practice? Like in the Hare Krishna movement, what's our suitable practice? Yeah, chanting. Chanting, japa, and doing kirtan with the devotees. Taking prasadam, we're associating with devotees. Sadhu sangha, satsanga means it's to associate with devotees.
Visit temple in the festive season.
Visit the temple, attend festivals. So there's so many suitable practices. So we should do those things that help us to progress spiritually, and we should avoid or reject. It means detach yourself from things that are unfavorable. And if you look at we hear about the word surrender, right? You should surrender to Krishna, surrender to the Lord. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur and other acharyas break down the meaning of surrender into 6 things. What it means, what does it mean? If someone asks you, what does it mean to that you're a surrendered soul, that you're surrendered to God? What does that actually entail? What does that mean? So they explain that one is 6 things. So one is to accept everything favorable to Krishna consciousness, to Krishna. Accept all those things that are favorable. That's called anukulyena. Anukulyena. So we accept everything favorable to Krishna. And then pratikul. Then you reject everything that's unfavorable to Krishna. So you accept everything favorable to Krishna. And the second one, you reject. You detach yourself from everything unfavorable. Like chanting is favorable. It's helping us. Krishna likes it. And it's favorable to our Krishna consciousness. So we accept it. And then meat eating is animal killing, and that is unfavorable. Krishna doesn't like it. And it's unfavorable to our developing bhakti. So we give that up. We detach ourselves from that. So that's 2 things. The third one is accepting that Krishna is our only maintainer. Did you get that? So is the government our maintainer? No. Our family members is a maintainer? No. Is our boss our maintainer? No. It's whatever, it's is the bank our maintainer? No. Bill Gates? No. No, it's Krishna. Krishna's our maintainer. Of course, Krishna maintains us through family members, through governments, through our job, like that. But it's actually Krishna's maintaining us. Don't forget that. Don't just see the immediate person that seems to be maintaining you. Like someone this morning, he'd met me when I was distributing prasadam at Wellington, and he helped me a lot already when I was there. He was actually purchasing fruit and vegetables and bringing it to us, and we would just cook it up. And he spent his own money to do that, like hundreds of dollars twice a week while we're there. And then we sort of kept in touch. And then this morning he sent me a message and just saying, "Oh, I just like to thank you again. It was really wonderful what you did. It's having a lasting effect, and it's helped so many things and really transformed people's lives and everything like that." And he just said, just to show my thanks, I'm just letting you know I sent $100. I sent you $100 to your trust, because we have a trust. So he just said, I sent you 100. Can you send me a donation receipt? And so I replied, right? So I could say, well, he's maintaining me. Well, not exactly. I mean, he's an instrument in Krishna's hands. So Krishna's maintaining me through that particular person, through other people like that, different things. But Krishna's the ultimate maintainer, and everyone else is just an instrument, just a puppet in his hands. Of course, we give them credit too, because they want to be an instrument in the service of God. So God is using them as an instrument like that. And so that's the third one. The fourth one is faith that Krishna will always protect us. Faith that Krishna will protect us. And does that mean the body? Or something else?
Soul.
Definitely the soul.
Body as well.
But also the body, no?
Also the body. It can be protecting the soul, the mind, the body. But I mean, ultimately, for all of us, the body will not be protected, because the body has to die sooner or later, right? We know Prabhupada also left. So it cannot be protected forever, the body. So the main protection is to protect our Krishna consciousness, so that when the body dies, that we won't forget him, and then we can go back to him. One time, Ramanujacharya, a great spiritual master in our line, said that, well, a different line, but still a Vaishnava, devotee. He's the main teacher in the Sri Sampradaya, so a different succession, but definitely matching up with everything we do. And then he was present like nearly 1,000 years ago, I think 900 years ago or something, in India. So he asked the question to the deity that he worshipped. Now, this is very interesting. How can you ask a question to the deity? Well, I mean,
Because
you can
he
ask a
was
question, but how are you going to get an
deity was
answer?
real.
How are you going to get an answer? That's the thing. Anyone can ask a question, but are you going to get an answer? But he got an answer. And that's because he saw the deity. The name of the deity is Ranganath. So that's actually a form of Vishnu, so a four-armed deity. And this deity was lying down, like we see our deity, Gokulananda, standing up. But this deity lies down on the serpent bed, the snake bed of Anantasesha in South India, in Sri Rangam. So Ranganath is lying down, and he's so big, you can't see his whole body from one place. So you have to move to different rooms so you can see him from his toe to his head. He's that big. He's huge. So he prayed to the deity. He asked a question. My dear Lord, what happens to your devotee if he doesn't remember you at the time of death? And then the Lord was silent for a few moments. And then the Lord spoke, the deity spoke, and said, if my devotee does not remember me at the time of death, I will remember my devotee. That's far out. That's love. Again, the Lord is showing how much he loves us. That even, because due to circumstances, maybe you won't remember. You know, what if, you get hit by a bus, unexpectedly or something like that, or have a heart attack, and it's so traumatic or so quick, you don't have time to, just wait a sec, let me pull out my bead bag and I'll just chant Hare Krishna. Maybe you don't always have that chance, like that. And like what if you're driving a car? Are you going to be thinking of Krishna every second? No, you're going to be thinking about, I have to turn left and I have to stop and I have to turn right and I have to accelerate, and you have to think, you're thinking about driving the car. And then what happens if it comes in an accident? And you weren't thinking of Krishna, directly, you were thinking about driving the car, which is what you should be thinking about. And, but like Krishna's saying there in that form of Ranganath, that even if my devotee doesn't remember me, I'll remember my devotee. He'll remember everything we did. He'll remember, Gulshan, you distributed so much of my prasadam. Deepa, you organized my Rath Yatra for me. Thank you so much. And Bhakti Mala's been dressing my deity form and making me muffins and cookies and everything. And Bob's been helping my devotees to keep good health.
For 2 weeks.
2,000 people.
Abai almost killed himself trying to feed people.
So even if you do kill yourself, you'll go to Krishna Loka.
Yeah, I was
killing down in a service.
Krishna definitely, he loved the
Krishna is the one who give you strength to do all that.
Jayanti almost killed me. She was so angry that
she kill you every day.
Almost killed myself. She nearly finished me off. No,
well, if Jayanti kill you, you're definitely not going to go to Krishna Loka, guarantee.
Like Krishna arranged that she couldn't kill me, yeah.
Well, Krishna is Jayanti too.
Yeah. So, but that's the thing, faith that he'll protect us. So, I mean, sometimes we see he does protect the body, but definitely he protects our soul and our consciousness, our remembrance of him. And one story where he did protect the body. One little girl, she in South Africa, she was a staunch devotee of Narasimha, the half man, half lion form of the Lord. She loved Narasimha. She was a small child. And she was playing with a ball with her friends outside the house. And the ball went on the road. And she's just a little kid, so she wasn't thinking. So she went on the road to get the ball, and a truck came past. And the truck And everyone there thought she's finished. I mean, who survives getting hit by a truck? Nobody survives. And there was that truck accident not too long ago in Australia, right, where one Indian driver was there and the truck
4 police officers,
and just killed instantly 3 or 4 police officers dead. You know.
But it's the car driver. He didn't die because the policeman pulled over the Porsche driver.
Yeah.
Why he didn't get killed? Because he went there to the bush to get pissed. That's why he alive. He went there to toilet. Yeah. That must be the God's arrangement.
Of course. Of course. But yeah, generally, you don't survive getting hit by a truck, but let alone a little kid. But this little kid went flying through the air when it was hit by a truck, right? And everyone ran over thinking it's just dead. But the child was perfectly fine. Not a dent. The only thing on the child's body to show something had happened was there was some handprints on her body. And she said that just before the truck was going to hit me, Nrsimha came and grabbed me with his hands and put me down over there. So how's that? Story? That's a true story. It's written in a book of different stories, from Mayapur. The Mayapur have put together a book about stories about Lord Nrsimhadev. So she had the handprints to prove it. She had his handprints on her body to prove it. And she didn't have anything else. No scratch, no blood, nothing like that. So yeah, sometimes it's the body, sometimes, but definitely the soul. So that's the 4th one. And the 5th one is humility. That's also a symptom of surrender. If you're surrendered to the Lord, you're going to be very meek and humble. You're not going to be proud. You're going to think, that I'm very small, I'm very insignificant. Therefore, you please maintain me. Therefore, you please protect me. Like that. And therefore, I'm going to do what you want and give up what you don't want. Because that humility is there, then all the other things fit into place. So it's all connected. And then the 6th one is dovetailing all your desires with his desires. See, we see that in the Bhagavad Gita. In the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna had separate desires to the Lord, right? What did Krishna desire in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita?
To fight.
Yeah, to fight. What did Arjuna desire in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita?
Try not to fight.
Not to fight. So is that the same desire or different desire?
A different desire.
Opposite.
Different desire. Okay. Now let's look at the end of the Bhagavad Gita.
You ready to
We
fight?
haven't got there yet, but some of you might know about the end. Or maybe Gulshan's looked at the last page. Some people do that, right? You want to see how does it finish? So anyway, at the end, what was Krishna's desire? Fight or not fight? Fight. Same as at the beginning. And then what was Arjuna's desire at the end?
Fight.
To fight. So that changed. It changed to become the same desire as Krishna's desire. That's a sign of surrender. I don't want to fight, Krishna, but you want me to fight, so I'll fight because I love you, because you're my master. You're my Lord. You want me to fight. I mean, it's the worst thing for me to do is fight, but you want me to fight and I love you, so I'm going to fight. So that's surrender.
Fight wasn't a worst thing. Worst thing was killing his guru.
He has no problem fighting because he's trained to fight. It's like a builder, right? He's trained to use a hammer. Yeah. He's got no problem with doing that. Yeah. But then, you tell him to hit your father on the head with it. He won't want to do that. So it's no problem with him fighting, but the problem was who he had to fight with. Yeah. He had to fight with people he loved. So that was the difficulty, no difficulty in fighting. I mean, we would have difficulty fighting because we don't know how to fight. But he had no problem with fighting. He's killed millions of people, there's no problem. But normally they're his enemies, not friends and family members and loved ones. So that was the difficulty. But he overcame that difficulty after his surrender to the Lord like that. Of course, he was always a surrendered devotee because he's an eternal associate of the Lord. But Krishna said that Krishna put him into Maya. Krishna put him into Maya so that the Bhagavad Gita could take place. Otherwise, there would never have been a Bhagavad Gita. Yep. If Arjuna was fully surrendered from the beginning, then yep. Krishna there would be no need for Krishna to speak.
We won't be having this class then.
Class finished. The beginning of the class and then the end of the class all at the same time, no class.
Or if Krishna will say that, are you going to fight or you want me to give you one? He probably will fight and there won't be any Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, there wouldn't be. So just so that a Bhagavad Gita conversation could take place, then Arjuna was acting like as a non-devotee in a disagreeable mood, not surrendered. So that's something about surrender. So that's what I was saying. We have to do things that are favorable to Krishna. So that's part of surrender. That if you're surrendered, you'll do the suitable practices. So getting back to this verse, if you're surrendered to Krishna, you'll do what's suitable for progressing your love for Krishna, your devotion to Krishna, and you'll avoid things that are not favorable to Krishna. And that's what in this verse is said as detachment. So suitable practice, that's what's favorable for Krishna consciousness, and detachment is those things that's unfavorable for Krishna consciousness. Does that make sense? Would anyone like to say anything about that?
One is called the detachment, one is called the attachment. What is non-attachment?
Yeah, non-attachment is the same as detachment.
Okay.
Excuse me, Prabhu. That was the surgeon. They just rang, and he wants me to get an MRI before Monday. So I'm just going to have to go and ring up, make phone calls to try and get in tomorrow. So
yeah, all the very best. Wishing you well. Hope you get better soon.
We're coming tomorrow, me and Brett. Bhakti?
Okay, thank you.
See ya. Bye.
All right, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. You will. What happened to her?
She sprained her leg or broke something in her leg.
It's something leg string injury. She fell. Somebody chasing her little dog. And she trying to protect her, and then her dog was Narasimha. So she fell and then she hurt her leg. So but she got to go MRI. It's just the bodily. It's nothing. Spiritually she's strong. Only body.
But the body's very helpful for our Krishna
consciousness. It does. So without help, you can't do the service.
Yeah. So we hope she gets better soon with her body.
She'll be all right.
Okay, let's start reading the purport. Okay, Bob, you want to start it off? The difficulty.
Which one? No, it's
Is it 35 or 36?
35.
35. Okay. Lord Shri Krishna said, "O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment."
Yeah. So you can start the purport.
Oh, sorry. The difficulty of controlling the obstinate mind, as expressed by Arjuna, is accepted by the personality of Godhead, but at the same time he suggests that by practice and detachment it is possible. What is that practice? In the present age, no one can observe the strict rules and regulations of placing oneself in a sacred place, focusing the mind on the super soul, restraining the senses and mind, observing celibacy, remaining alone, etc.
Okay, let's stop there for a sec. Stop there for a sec. So that's what this chapter talks about. is this particular practice of Dhyana Yoga, which is now known as Ashtanga Yoga. So that's what this chapter talks about. But Prabhupada's saying here, in the present age, no one can observe the strict rules and regulations. And then it mentions these things, which we've read about in this chapter, of going to a sacred place, focusing the mind on the super soul, restraining the senses in the mind, observing celibacy, which means no sex life, remaining alone. So it's being pointed out here that these things that used to be done, but not anymore, are possible for the common people. Not possible. I mean, who wants to spend the rest of their life all alone? No one will.
That's a torture.
That's torture for most people, like that. Of course, these yogis, they immediately would very quickly connect with the super soul. So then you're not alone anymore. You're with God. I mean, if you're with God 24/7, you don't need to be with your family or your neighbors or your friends or your workmates. You're with the best person. You're with God, but because in Kali Yuga, we're not so qualified as these people. If you're not quickly connecting with God, then you still do need to keep some other external connections. So that's what it's saying here. Yeah, and then that was Arjuna's concern, that, I can't follow these rules and regulations. It's too difficult for me. And Arjuna said that 5,000 years ago. So Prabhupada's point in one of the previous verses is that if Arjuna is so much more qualified person than what we are now 5,000 years ago, if he said this 5,000 years ago, I can't do this, I can't follow this, then what to speak of us?
What chance we got now?
No chance, Yeah, no chance. Okay, Deepa, do you want to continue by the practice?
By the practice of Krishna consciousness, however, one engages in 9 types of devotional service to the Lord. The first and foremost of such devotional engagements is hearing about Krishna. This is a very powerful transcendental method for purging the mind of all misgivings. The more one hears about Krishna, the more one becomes enlightened and detached from everything that draws the mind away from Krishna. By detaching the mind from activities not devoted to the Lord, one can very easily earn vairagya. Vairagya means detachment from matter and engagement of the mind in spirit. Impersonal spiritual detachment is more difficult than attaching the mind to the activities of Krishna. This is practical because by hearing about Krishna, one becomes automatically attached to the Supreme Spirit. This attachment, called Parisanubhuti?
Bhava. Anubhava.
Oh.
Unless it says something different in your book, but
here
it says
Buddhi. Buddhi, spiritual satisfaction.
Okay.
It is just like the feeling of satisfaction a hungry man has for every morsel of food he eats. The more one eats while hungry, the more one feels satisfaction and strength. Similarly, by discharge of devotional service, one feels transcendental satisfaction as the mind becomes detached from material objectives. It is something like curing a disease by expert treatment and appropriate diet. Hearing of the transcendental activities of Lord Krishna, it is therefore expert treatment for the mad mind. And eating the foodstuff offered to Krishna is the appropriate diet for the suffering patient. This treatment is the process of Krishna consciousness.
Wonderful.
Wow.
So Prabhupada starts off saying what the suitable practice is, It's the 9 processes of devotional service. So would some of you like to say whatever processes that you know about? What are the 9 processes? You can all say some.
Would eating prasadam be one?
It's actually not mentioned as one, but it is part, you could say it's part of one. It's part of one, but it's not mentioned as one. Well, the first one is what the rest of the purport talks about, which is hearing. So Shravanam is the first of the 9 processes.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking.
Yep, that's the second one, Kirtanam. So that means like chanting or talking about Krishna.
Yep.
Of course, you know, chanting Krishna's names, or just what we're doing now in these soul-searching sessions, talking about Krishna, it's basically the same thing. You're glorifying Krishna. You either glorify his... What's that?
No, go on.
You glorify his names, but you can also glorify his pastimes and his qualities and his form. So there's different ways you can glorify Krishna. Nama, Rupa, Guna, and Lila. So there's a different name, qualities, form, pastimes, like that. So this is what we're doing now is kirtan, is chanting. And if you go Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare, Hare, or Hare Krishna. So it's all different forms of kirtan. Basically, kirtan means you're moving your tongue and your lips in glorification of Krishna. And glorification of Krishna. If you're talking Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, you're also moving your tongue and your lips, but it's not in glorification of Krishna, in relation to Krishna, so that's not kirtan. So it means particularly you're vibrating sounds in relation to God. That is kirtan. There must be some kind of talking or singing in relation to the Supreme Being. That's kirtan.
Would by association be one of them?
That's sort of in all of them. It's not one of the processes, but it's sort of in all of them. Like now, you know, we're hearing Bhagavad Gita all together, you know, in the association of devotees, or we're talking about Krishna all together. You know, you're preparing prasadam all together. So that's sort of throughout all of them, but it's not a specific one, but it's in all of them. Oh yeah, the first one's hearing about Krishna. The second one's glorifying Krishna. And the third one is remembering, smaranam, Vishnu smaranam. So you're remembering God. That's the third process, to remember God. And the sequence is also has some relevance, because if you keep hearing about God, that's going to go inside. Naturally, after hearing, you're going to start talking about God. And if you talk about God, that's going to help you to really stick it deeply in your heart. And then you're going to remember God. Even people that are expert in the science of improving your memory, what they say, if you want to improve your memory, whatever you're trying to memorize, tell that to somebody. Understand? Whatever you want to remember, tell that to somebody. And that's going to not only obviously go into them, but it goes into you more. And you have to think deeply about it, because before you can explain a subject to someone else, it means you have to be thinking about, what are you going to say? You know, what am I going to say? How am I going to explain this? So you have to reflect deeply on what you've heard. What did I hear about this subject? You know, because you're going to present it to someone else. So it makes you think deeply about, what do I know about this? What have I heard from my guru, and what have I read, and everything like that. You've got to piece it all together in an organized, structured way so that you can present that to someone else. And that helps you to remember it. So first of all, you hear about a subject, in this case, God, and then you'll naturally start talking about God. You've heard about God for so long, and then slowly, naturally, you're going to be talking about God to others. And then when you talk about God to others, that helps you remember God more yourself. Does that make sense? So this is a very powerful process for helping to implant God in our hearts.
Mm.
Just like the yogi we're reading about here is meditating on God in their heart, always thinking about God in the heart. But we're achieving that through a different practice. They had their own practice, going to a quiet place and controlling the breathing, doing the exercises, fasting, observing celibacy and everything, and then withdraw the mind from outside, focus it inwardly. But we're achieving the same result, which is that they can remember God and think about God, but through a different practice. First of all, we keep hearing about Krishna from the devotees, from the guru, from the scriptures. Keep hearing. And then gradually it's going in there, and then it's going to come out. You're going to start to say something. You've heard about something, you're going to tell someone else. Someone told you that chant and be happy. And you've been hearing that, chant and be happy, chant and be happy. And then you start to say it to someone else. Oh, this chanting's really cool. It makes you really happy. Just chant and be happy. So you've been hearing about it, and then you say it, and then by saying it helps you remember it. Does that make sense? And then another process is called Archanam. So Archanam means worshipping. So it's like, like the pujaris do in the temple. You worship the Lord with nice articles, incense, a ghee lamp, water, flowers, the yak tail whisk, the chamara, and the peacock fan. So you're offering nice articles, things that are pleasing to the Lord. So why do we offer these things? How are they pleasing to the Lord? Incense. What's pleasing to the Lord about incense? Does it please us when we smell incense?
Can do.
Yes.
Yeah, it's nice incense.
Yeah.
Smell, right? It's something
God
nice.
as well.
So that's what devotional service means, is that you're not trying to please your senses anymore. You're trying to please God's senses. So that's the idea. So how are you going to get it into your thick head that I'm going to stop pleasing my own senses and start to please his senses? Well, offer something for his senses. It's not for you. It's for him. So this incense is for him to smell, not for you to smell. I mean, you can smell it, but after he smells it. So we got to get into our thick heads that he's got to enjoy everything first. And I'm number two at the most. At the most, I'm number two, but I'm never number one. He's number one in everything. So he's got to smell the things first and taste the things first. Why do we offer all the food to Krishna first?
Has to eat first.
Because I'm not the ultimate enjoyer of the food that he is. He enjoys it first, and I get it second, at the most, And actually, like when we were distributing food in Wellington, I was the last. We offer it to Krishna, then we offer it to everyone else after everyone else has eaten. Then if there's anything left over, then I get some.
Last was the security guard.
On that day, yes, on that day, true, yeah, on that day, yeah. But yeah, we're never the first. So we're getting into that we're the servant, we're not the master. That this is what we're trying to achieve, and it gets back to surrender, right? Developing humility. So this is how we can develop that humility, that we're the servant, we're not the master. So that we offer nice articles for the Lord for his pleasure. Give him some nice smelling incense. Give him a ghee lamp. What's pleasing about the ghee lamp? You tell me, is the material world by nature, by constitution, a very bright place or a very dark place?
Dark.
By nature, I would think it's dark.
Yeah. What's the only thing in the universe that keeps the darkness from being there 24/7?
Light.
Is the sun. The sun. Without the sun, we'd just be in one dark hole, one black hole, one very dark, cold, black hole. But the only thing that keeps that away, Krishna very kindly has brought the sun into this universe to keep that darkness away a little bit. You know, so, and the moonlight is a reflection of the sunlight, so that gives us a little bit of light at night sometimes. Otherwise, it's a very dark place, you know. And that also signifies that the people in the material are very ignorant, because we're in the darkness of ignorance. And so to offer light is a very nice thing. Like if you got some guests coming around to your house at night, what would you do? Turn all the lights off?
Turn them on, welcome them.
Turn them on, welcome them. It's very welcoming. It's very pleasing, very auspicious. You know, to
That's
come
what we
into
do
a
in the
light
Diwali.
place.
Put all the lights outside, welcoming.
Yeah, well, when
welcoming.
Lord Ram, when you're celebrating the anniversary of Lord Ram coming back home after being exiled for many years, what do? You put lamps everywhere. You're welcoming him home, you know, after he's been away for so long. So offering a lamp, it's very pleasing. It's a dark world. We offer light. Previously, of course, a lot of these old temples in India, even some still to this day are like that. There's no electricity.
I'm going out for the sun for a while.
Yeah, the old temples are that they
No
use the lamps,
electricity. So the only time you see the deity is when the priest offers the lamp. Otherwise, you can't even see him at all. You know, like that. So light is very, very important. And then offering water. Of course, water is very pleasing. You know, it cleans all your dirt off your body, keeps your body nice and clean and feel refreshed. Whenever you feel tired, if you have a nice cool bath or shower, you feel refreshed. It's a very, very nice thing, water. Of course, we all need water. Our body's made of 90% water. You know, so water is such a nice thing to offer. So when the priest is meditating that I'm giving Krishna a bath. So when he puts it in the conch shell, the shank, he's putting some water in there, offering the water. The priest is meditating on, I'm giving Krishna a bath. And then after that is a handkerchief. Why a handkerchief? Are you giving it to blow his nose? No, not for that.
To dry.
You're drying him. Of course, after you bathe someone, like imagine you're bathing your baby, do you leave him wet? Is that very pleasing to leave the person dripping with water after bathing? No, you dry his body. So then the priest is meditating on I'm drying his body.
How come they're not offering that handkerchief when they do Abhishek?
No, because then they're physically drying him. They're physically wiping his body with a towel. So then you don't need to do it mentally. You don't need to do it mentally because you're doing it physically. Because then they usually put a curtain up, and when the curtain's up, at that time they're drying him, and then they put new clothes on. Then they take the curtain away. So you're not seeing them in the Abhishek. Okay. You don't see them dry him, but they are drying him.
Okay.
They are drying him. And then, so that's one Archanam, offering nice things like that. Arti, it's called. Arti means worship. And then Vandanam. Vandanam means offering prayers. So even chanting Hare Krishna is a kind of prayer. Prabhupada explains it. O Hare, energy of the Lord, O Krishna, O all attractive Lord, please protect me from your Maya and engage me in your service. So when we're saying Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, it's a kind of prayer also. But there are other prayers we can offer. Krishna, please help me to engage in unfailing devotional service to you without any break, like what we were just talking about. You could pray for that. Please help my love for you never stop never have any interruption. Make my love for you, uninterrupted. Like Queen Kunti prayed. Queen Kunti prayed once. She said, "May my love for you flow like the Ganges river to the ocean." How about that? Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that a beautiful prayer? Because the river always goes down to the ocean. Can you stop a massive river from going to the ocean? Good luck.
No.
Good luck. I don't know if you've seen how big the Ganges is.
Oh, I do.
Massive.
I did, yeah.
Powerful force, like flowing very
especially
fast.
in Haridwar. Haridwar, the flow is so much high, the Lakshman Jhula. Oh my God, you have to hold the chains under the bridge. Otherwise, it'll be gone. You're gone, right?
So what's the chances of you stopping that?
No
chance. So like our love for Krishna, we pray that may it become like that powerful river flowing to the ocean, like that. So Krishna represents the ocean in that case, and then our love for him represents the river. So what a nice prayer, may my love for you flow like the Ganges to the sea. Like that. So like that, you can pray, please protect me from lust and greed and anger and envy and pride and all these things, my big false ego. Like that, Krishna, save me. Like when demons would attack in Vrindavan almost daily, the devotees would call out to Krishna, Krishna, save me, Krishna, protect me, like that. So we can pray so many things. Mate, you can pray, Krishna, please give me more tolerance. I'm not very tolerant. Please give me more tolerance. I'm not very patient, not very tolerant. Please give me more enthusiasm to serve the devotees or something, or please help me. Krishna, please help me make more nicer prasadam to distribute to the people, like that. Please, Krishna, give me the strength, like for me, right? Krishna, please give me the strength to feed 2,000 people today, So, you pray to Krishna, I can't do it, Krishna, I can't do it. Please give me the strength.
Please protect the Ukrainian people.
Yeah, like that, so there's so many.
Very bad happening there.
Yeah. I mean, when Lord Chaitanya would ever meet anyone, he would pray only one thing. He would say, Krishnae matirastu. May you become Krishna conscious. Because just praying, save me from war and everything, save the people from death or war or disease or old age or whatever. It's not a perfect kind of prayer because it's just in relation to the body. And okay, you save the Ukrainians from the war, but then they're going to have another problem in 5 years or 10 years. They're going to grow old. They're going to get sick. They're going to die. So the real thing we should pray for is something in relation to God. May the Ukrainians become God conscious. May they develop love for God.
Maybe Putin will have to give Putin a Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah,
He may have one.
Politics is very complicated.
How do you know?
It's very complicated.
So many devotees in Russia, no?
Yeah, but nobody can reach to him. He's got 400 bodyguards, and you can't reach him. So how can we give it a Bhagavad Gita to him? He has to
anyway, like we said, Krishna, he's ultimately in control, and we're all just little puppets, little instruments in his hands. So whatever he's arranging, even, wars and that is also part of his plan. Like the Bhagavad Gita also, there's
war is their life. Yes.
We can't understand why, but what we can understand is that suffering is in the material for a reason. It helps us to become humble. Like I said, we're so proud. But through suffering, it breaks down our false ego, our big false ego, our pride, and it makes us more receptive to hearing from the devotees, hearing about Krishna consciousness. Let's face it, most of us only came to Krishna consciousness because we were suffering. Who was at the pinnacle, at the climax of enjoying the material world when they came to Krishna consciousness? I never heard even one. you know, but who came because they were having some different problems in different ways, either financially or physically or mentally or what? Yeah, everyone. You know, so, you know, we came to Krishna consciousness after a health crisis, after our marriage fell apart, after our business failed, you know, so many things, you know, some kind of distress, or we needed something like money or something, we came to God, or, you know, like that. So this is why all these things are there. That's why they're there.
A lot of people, they leave that when they got fulfilled their requirement, and they leave.
Yeah, so that's a sign of less intelligent, not very intelligent. Yeah, but it's a chance. It's giving us a chance at least to come to spiritual life, Krishna conscious. Whether we take it or not is another thing, but at least it's giving us an opportunity like that. It's a shame that we have to go through so much suffering before we come to our senses and turn to God, but that's just the reality, because we're so, like Prabhupada, I think his most commonly used word was rascal.
Yeah.
I've never heard him say anything, you know, so many times.
There
as
is
the
a
word
restaurant called the
because
Rascal in
you're
Newcastle.
fools and rascals. You're all fools and rascals. So because we are fools and rascals, therefore we need a good kick up the backside quite regularly. You know, it's unfortunate, but it's because we're fools and rascals. If we were very pure and sincere and serious and everything in spiritual life, we wouldn't need so much suffering. But that's just unfortunately the way it is. But it makes sense, you know, when we realize how did all the souls come to be in the material world in the first place? It's because we're trying to be God. So that means everyone that comes here is a rascal, just automatically.
Yeah.
They're all rascals. We're a servant of God, but we're trying to forget that and trying to be someone that we're not. We're trying to take God's position and trying to be the controller and trying to be the enjoyer and everything like that, the proprietor. So we definitely fit in that category of fools and rascals. So we need to be beaten a little bit, beaten down a bit, our big ego and everything, before we can come to our senses. It's unfortunate. But yeah, that's the way it is. So that suffering is a blessing in disguise. Like, I mean, you're just talking about Russia, right?
Yeah.
Number 2 quantity of devotees in a country after India is which
Russia.
country?
Russia.
Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah, I know.
That's the number 2 in terms of the quantity of devotees. Not USA,
Ukraine
not
alone
UK.
is there 20,000 devotees in Ukraine.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, they mentioned that recently, 20,000 devotees
Yeah.
in Ukraine.
Yeah.
And there's probably more than that, but they're the ones that are like fully practicing. You know, what to speak of those that chant every now and again.
One of the devotee got shot as well. Last week was showing that.
Yeah.
But a lot of people get shot, and he was devotee. So.
Yeah.
But there's so much of focus on Putin. I'm wondering, the general Russian public, what are their thoughts?
They can't protest, actually.
Well, you can't know, because the media, first thing you have to realize is the media is lying to you.
Even
So
there
if
is no
you're
freedom.
hearing about it from the media, then forget it. You're gonna, if you
got
want to
wrong
know what the
information.
truth is, I tell you, if you want to find out what the truth is, it's the opposite to what the governments and the media says. Just go the opposite, and then you'll get closer to what the truth is. Otherwise, you just have to hear it from some small person on the ground that doesn't have any personal agenda to get out of
America
it.
control all the media. Whatever America tells, that's what we hear.
Yeah, so I wouldn't get into that too much, but I'm just trying to point out that, I mean, see, Russia went through communism and the people suffered so much, but that was great for Krishna consciousness. That's when they became Krishna conscious. They weren't allowed religious freedom. They weren't allowed to read the Bhagavad Gita, but that made them want to do it even more. You know what they did? One copy of Bhagavad Gita would be like smuggled in at the risk of people's lives.
Yeah.
With one copy smuggled in. Then what would they do? Night and day, 24 hours, they're copying it by hand writing. You know how many pages this is? Like 1,000 pages. How are they distributing the Bhagavad Gita in the early days of communism? One by one, by hand writing. That's how intensely strong desire. And what about us? Oh, I don't feel like reading Bhagavad Gita. Oh, it's like, nah, I can't be this boring, everything. They're like risking their life
and then they've been in prison so many times. Like, you would read the book Salted Bread.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's like that, you know. So when you're put into intense pressure and suffering, that's what brings out the best of your spiritual life, of your Krishna consciousness. So don't see it as a bad thing. You know, I guarantee there'll be a lot more spirituality, you know, after all these sufferings through COVID diseases.
I agree.
And I mean, I couldn't believe what I saw in Wellington.
Only one thing you agree, Bob?
All the protesters, they're all talking about God in every sentence. Everyone. God this, God that. I never heard Kiwis talking about God. Kiwis are such atheists. But now, after all this, they've lost their jobs, they've lost their house, they can't pay the mortgage, and they're talking about God, and God save us, and God help us, and that's fantastic. You know, and I've never seen so many people attracted to prasadam. I mean, our queue, you can't see where it ends. It was like 200 meters long, the queue, backing up right to the beehive, you know, the Parliament building. You know, it was like, it's people, and everyone is coming saying, thank you for this food. Hare Krishna.
Oh,
you know,
so nice.
I've never experienced that before. It was amazing. And then handing over $100 bills and everything like that. I'd never seen that before. You know, previously everyone wanted it, you know, for free. Even if it's for free, they don't want it. No, I'm not hungry. I don't want to eat. These people is like, they're like begging, you know, can you give me some of this Hare Krishna food? It's like so delicious. And here, take this money. And I mean, it was just amazing. And how has that come about? Through suffering. So all glories to suffering.
Yeah.
You know, whatever it takes to bring us to that point. Because you got to judge everything by what is the outcome, what is the result. And people are materially happy. Well, what's the result? No Krishna consciousness.
They're not going to be remember Krishna.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Material happiness sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, intense physical, mental suffering and everything, and people become talking about God and thanking God and spiritual. That's fantastic. Bring it on.
Yeah, if someone's job's okay, health is okay, money is coming, house is great, children's great, no reason to ring, no reason to call Krishna.
I don't need God. What do I need God for?
Yeah.
No, but there's so much of things to be grateful for. Yeah. That's already...
Of course, if you're more intelligent, you don't need to suffer to become Krishna conscious or spiritual. You know, you'll be thanking God when in a happy situation. You'll be grateful. You know, thank you, Krishna, for giving me a nice house and a nice family and nice, you know, opportunities and nice devotees and everything. Thank you very much. And, you know, thank you for this nice food you're giving me and the money and the wealth and everything. Thank you, Krishna. I want to use it for you and everything. You know, if you're intelligent, then even in a happy situation, you won't forget him. You'll be remembering him. But if we're really just a dull brain Kali Yuga, you know, kind of person, then we need some kick up the backside. You know, it's a shame, but that's what works. That's what works. Like it says, you know, if an animal is disobedient, how do you fix that?
Stick.
You beat him.
Oh no.
Johnny doesn't like it when I say that.
But the good horse,
that's just the reality. Then they become very good.
But the good
when
horse
you beat them, then they become very good.
Yeah.
There was an old saying, right? And a lot of people wouldn't be happy with me repeating this, but there's an old saying, you know, spare the rod, spoil the child.
Spoil the child, yes.
Yeah. That's a fact. I mean, if you come home drunk and beat the crap out of your kids, that's not what it means. But if you love your children and they go off track, you punish them. out of love, because you don't want them to go off track, because you know they're going to suffer if they go off track. If they become a drunkard, a womanizer, an addict, or whatever, their lives spoiled. So you have to give them a good, punishment, to bring them back on track, So, but
My
you
son
understand the
challenged me.
principle.
My
Yeah,
son
don't
challenged
worry,
me once.
don't worry, my dad had done a lot.
I've got
See,
belting.
that's why Gulshan is such a good person.
I got belting
Arif.
from my father.
Yeah, we all are.
My father never even had to hit me with the belt. Just the threat of it hanging in his wardrobe was enough.
Oh, but
Was enough. He didn't even have to hit me with it. Just the knowledge that if I stepped over the
Yeah.
line,
just
he
look at
would
the
go and
belt.
pick that up. Was enough. So I remember
My
even
dad,
in our schools,
whatever
the
come in the
headmaster
hand,
was very strict.
it doesn't matter if it's a belt or a bat or a wicket, anything come in the hand. Anything handy. If not that, even shoe.
Interestingly, when Prabhupada was training the first Hare Krishna teachers for the Hare Krishna schools, which are called Gurukul means, it's just you're living with the Guru, and he's teaching you. When he was training the teachers how to do their jobs, he said, just show the stick. Don't hit them with it. Don't hit them with the stick, but you show the stick.
Yeah, it's
if
like
you do the wrong thing, then this is what's going to be coming at your backside. So that's all you need to do, and just that is enough. No one's going to step over the line. So there was a system, a technique like that, so there is a reason for it, why suffering is there, and that's just an impetus for persons that have a lot of mode of ignorance, because that's just the reality, that there's a lot of mode of ignorance. So to deal with people in a lot of ignorance, then that's the technique. Has to be some suffering. If you're dealing with enlightened people, like if you're dealing with a brahmana, an intelligent brahmana, you don't need to show a stick. He already knows if he's done something wrong, and he's punishing himself. A real brahmana, if he's done a mistake, he is self-inflicting punishment on his own self. That, he's condemning himself. His intelligence has understood that he's made a mistake and that he's never going to do that again, and like that. But, so it depends on the kind of the person. You don't treat everyone the same. But if you're dealing with someone in ignorance, then definitely some kind of punishment or suffering needs to be there. And if you're dealing with people that are very highly enlightened, you don't need a punishment to punish them like that. Does that make sense?
Like a donkey and the horse. Horse will run that a shadow of the whip. Donkey wait. When the whip came, then run.
Oh, God.
So there's the rest of this. I'll just finish off, just summarize. So this basically, the rest of the purport, Prabhupada is just talking about the hearing process. Oh, we didn't finish off the 9. Okay, so we'll do that. Prayers, we said that. And then worshipping the feet of the Lord. That's called Padasevanam, worshipping the feet of the Lord. So like, for example, Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, is massaging her husband's feet. Massaging her husband's feet.
Deepa?
And
Did you hear that?
That's God's feet.
Husband is a god.
Let's see like that. But and you can serve the devotee's body, do some service for the body of the devotees, serving the guru, massaging the guru also. And it's when the pujari is in the process of bathing the Lord, massaging the Lord, he can serve the feet of the Lord also, and his body, and like I said, bathing him and drying him and everything like that. So they can do that service for the Lord. That's called serving the lotus feet, Padasevanam. And then Dasyam means menial service. And the famous example of this is Hanuman.
Yeah.
Any kind of menial service. Like Ram said, Hanuman, go to that mountain and get the herbs to fix Lakshman, because Lakshman had been struck by an arrow and he was nearly dead. not really dead, but apparently nearly dead. He's got a spiritual body, but anyway, it was like a life-threatening situation. So go and get these herbs, Sanjeevani herbs. And Hanuman went there to the mountain, but he's not so knowledgeable about herbs. So he just thought, I'll just bring the whole mountain and they can work it out which herb. So he carried the whole mountain. So like that, he's just the perfect servant. You know, the master gives an order, go and do this. And the servant says, what does the servant say?
Ji Guruji. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Prabhupada said, what's the business of the disciple? Is to say, yes, sir.
Yes.
You know, always, you know, very favorable, agreeable. So that's one process, that dasyam, servitude. And then sakyam. Sakyam means friendship. We should see the Lord as our friend. This is a process. We should see that God is my real friend. He's my best friend. And we should try to develop a friendly relationship with him. That he is very dear to me and I'm very dear to him. So that loving friendship should be there. And Atmanivedanam means surrendering everything, like we talked about surrender. So surrender can mean the body, can mean the mind, can mean the wealth, can mean the intelligence, can mean the words, everything surrendered. Whatever I have, my body, my wealth, my words, my intelligence, my mind, everything I give to you, my Lord, everything is yours. So those are the 9 processes of devotional service. And Prabhupada's saying by doing these, then automatically your mind becomes absorbed. So you've achieved what the yogi is achieving. By serving the Lord in these 9 different ways, your mind has become completely absorbed and concentrated on service, and you've automatically taken it away from all the external materialistic world. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll is eat, drink, and be merry. That's all finished because your mind is absorbed in hearing and chanting and remembering and serving and worshipping and all these kind of things, surrendering. So what Prabhupada's point here is, by taking up the suitable practice, which is these 9 processes of devotional service, automatically you've achieved the result of detachment. You don't have to separately try to cut away from all the wrong things, all the bad things. Like I said, eat, drink, and be merry.
It's automatically happen.
Oh, that's automatically going to happen. You just have to take up the suitable practices, and then automatically you're gonna let go of all the things that are not good for you. You know, like
Abhay,
yep.
sorry, mate, I have to go. I apologise.
That's all right.
All right.
Okay.
Now, will I see you
No,
next
that's all right. No need.
Will I see you next week?
Okay, yes, next week. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Hare
yes,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you
Bye.
so much. I love it, as you know.
Thank you.
So yeah, just one thing came to mind, that like in Wellington, I was just concentrating on feeding people prasadam. I wasn't concentrating on, oh, they've got to stop this meat eating business. No, just give them prasadam, give them the positive thing. And I had people coming and saying that and sending me messages afterwards, I'm a meat eater, but I don't want to eat meat anymore. I want to eat this vegetarian food, what you cooked. So that's nice, you know, you just focus on the positive thing. When people get attracted to the positive thing, automatically they want to give up the negative thing. You know, I think of a point when I gave up eating McDonald's, for example. No, I can't work it out when it happened, because it just automatically, when I got prasadam enough, then I didn't eat any of that stuff anymore. Was there a conscious point in my life where I said, I'm not going to eat any more McDonald's from now on, I promise, and all that stuff? No, that didn't happen at all. It just automatically, like unconsciously, just dropped away. And that's the power and the beauty of
You're
devotional
telling about
service.
the power. You know, the kebab shop next door to a Bhakti tree, they come now 3 times a week to have the dinner place, like, you know, takeaway, and all the staff 3 times a week. First, he used to come 1 time a week. Now it's coming 2 times a week. Now I notice that because we're open for 5 days, and 3 times
Yeah.
every night, closing time, 7:30, 8 o'clock, they come that, can I have 2 curries and rice and curry and that for whole staff. And they have got all the kebab and fishes and chips and all that. They
They
like
only
it.
sell it. They don't eat it themselves.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they know that our food is shit. That's why they're eating ass. They're not gonna eat there.
We experienced in Wellington too, because there was this big setup next to us where there a marae, means a big Maori group coming from a marae where they're feeding a lot of people. So they set up with all their big, like spit roasts where they put like a whole pig and stuff and roast and all that.
Yeah.
But the main chef from there, he
Didn't
came
pay.
and ate from us breakfast, lunch, and dinner is like every day, it's like that. So that's what we want to work on, not don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that, but do this, do this very positive thing, and automatically the negative thing will go away, Like, I used to play with Lego and all kind of toys and everything like that. But yeah, that automatic, and I think, well, when did that stop? But that stopped when I got my first car. So when you get something better, then automatically, the higher taste principle, right?
Yeah.
When you got the higher taste, the lower taste automatically goes. Did I think,
if you don't have
I'm not gonna play Lego anymore. I'm not gonna allow. No, you didn't have to think about that. You just forget about it. It just goes, just automatically, and that's beautiful. Then it's not a painful process. That's the idea. Lord Chaitanya said, Kevala Ananda Kanda. That means that Kevala only. Ananda means blissful. Kanda. Kevala Ananda Kanda. So Kevala only. Ananda blissful. Kanda means path. So this path is only joyful. And Prabhupada summed it up: chanting, dancing, and feasting. So if we just focus on these positive things, chanting, dancing, and feasting like that, taking prasadam,
the rest of the thing will take place.
Everything else will get sorted out. You don't have to worry about all the junk things automatically fall away, That's
now I have to go to Bhakti Tree. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Hare Krishna. Nice to see you. Be with you all again.
See you all.
Yeah.
Everything beautiful. Hare Krishna.